All right, so welcome back. First things first, this is a different setting to what you guys are used to. I'm currently visiting my family, my parents out in the country, so I'll be doing the video from outside in the backyard. So cool new setting, and plus the lighting will be so much better than what the last video was. So I apologize for how bad the lighting was. I'll set this up here. And first things first, I did want to also address the formatting. It might have been really confusing for you guys who are trying to find the video when I switch between, what's the word I'm looking for? No, oh, hi, that's my dad's dog. I might as well show you guys. Obi. He's cute. Switching between the formatting where I will go from, let's say, go from like volume 2 chapter 1 to then suddenly I reformatted it to just like chapter 5. I think it's easier if I format it that way for sequential chapters, so it's easier for you guys to follow along, so it's like you're not getting confused by me posting a video of like volume 3 chapter 2, because imagine if I do that, how many chapter 2s there's going to be. Anyways, I thought that might be confusing. But I also wanted to thank H Vachita L for commenting again. I really appreciate you interacting and engaging. This time I replied much quicker than last time. The first time you commented, it took me 9 days versus this one was 20. I'll play with you later. The dog again. For commenting again, sorry. I really appreciate the time you take to comment and interact and engage with me. I think it's really cool that we can have these discussions, and it's fun to get other people's opinions and perspectives on the way that the manga's been unfolding. So I also want to say, Puck's a dude. Like this whole time, I had to Google it just to confirm, because you said Puck is like he is something rather, and I was like, oh my god, I thought that was a woman. So I mean, out of all the things to bring up from your message, like out of all the prominent things to bring up, me misgendering Puck is probably bottom of the barrel journalism over here. But anyways, we'll get into the review. So let me flick this bad boy open. It's upside down. All right, so this chapter was titled "The Guardians of Desire," Chapter 3. Yeah, look how much better that looks. Maybe I should stay out here and film all the reviews out here. But the first thing is, Puck obviously gets captured by the Potato Overlord, and we have really sad reflections of Vargas. R.I.P. to him. He was such a good character. So far, my favorite character is Vargas. He was just phenomenal. Like the way that his character had the similar traits of vengeance to Guts, but he was too weak. He didn't have like the strength that Guts has to act on this vengeance and this rage that he has. So he has to rely on other people, and so he's been sitting with this rage, but he's still got the kindness in his heart to like help other people out. Phenomenal writing. Anywho, so Puck's kind of left wondering like what's gonna happen to me. See down here, kind of left wondering what's gonna happen. And then she hilariously pitches up here that she's going to get put in a cake. Of all the things, I mean, it would make sense in the context of the Potato Overlord. Like, that man would eat anyone. Let's be real here. And then we move on to see the girl that we saw in the window from the previous chapter, where I was way too emotional to give a flying fuck about her. I did not care. I was like, dude, Bugs is dead. I do not care who this girl is, but she's relevant here, so very relevant. She literally says, sorry. There we go. She literally says, sorry, this has been filmed on my phone, so I get messages every now and then. She literally says, father, and then he's like, still awake, Teresia. Bruh, can I just point out really quickly, if we look at her and look at him, so this is her, and this is him. Can we please get a paternity test ASAP? Let's go on Jerry Springer, get a paternity test, because you are not the father. There's no way he's the dad. He literally is. Anyways, we'll move on from that. But we can see here that he says, I have a little, sorry, let me flip it so you guys can see it. There we go. He says, I have a little something for you, and gives Puck as like a present gives Puckers a present. And so that makes me wonder if this blob here has a soul, and to what extent. Because he loves his daughter seemingly more than anything, yet he's willing to eat Vargas and eat his family like a goddamn KFC tender combo. So where does his humanity end? I feel like I've read through it now, but when I was reading it at the time, I was kind of wondering where does his humanity start and finish. So he says like, you're the only, I'm assuming he says you're the only one I care about, possibly, and she freaks out, kind of like what Guts does, and says like, don't touch me. And then he's like, you still won't let me touch you. I mean, the context of that's really interesting, which we don't know yet. And I was like, obviously like some family trauma there. And we don't know where the mum is, so you can kind of assume that it's family related, possibly before he became a demon, and what spurred him on to become a demon at whatever given point the family drama might have occurred. Anyways, so we move on from that, and immediately we go from this, the blob having a soul and stuff like that. And actually, really quickly before we move on from that, it's like, that was my point though, is like, where is the line in the sand of his humanity? Because he's become a demon, where we've like ascertained that he's become a demon, but where does his humanity start and finish? Because he holds on to some of it. He loves his daughter still. If he didn't love her, he would have eaten her, right? I mean, he doesn't have humanity for other people and their families, but he has humanity for his daughter still. Was he turning into a demon for his daughter? I feel like this is all going to unfold as we move on, but blah, blah, blah. Anyways, he's pissy as that his daughter doesn't love him. Like, understandably so, by the way. But he says, leave me alone! And he's crashing out, and then he says, alas, he has come. And immediately we move on to like the sudden switch up of the tempo. Guts has arrived and is like, Guts says, this is for the dead homies. He's like, this is for Vargas, motherfucker. Like, he pulled up, and we can see the Count in the shadows, kind of turning into a blob thing. We can kind of see that in the shadows. So I've got notes right here, so I'm kind of referring to my notes as I go. But like, where was I? You can see the cat turn into a grotesque monster in the shadows. And that was my point. So what we saw just 2 minutes ago of the Count kind of trying to connect and give a present to his daughter and trying to like get upset that she's not connecting, was the manga's attempt to humanize him and maybe make him more relatable as a character, but also maybe it's setting up the context of why he decided to become a demon in the first place. Because we have on 2 separate occasions identified, we've already identified from not Zondark, Vargas, that he was a good human beforehand, or he was a human beforehand, and we find out later from Teresa as well that he was a good father and then became something else. So this is the manga's attempt to humanize him and bring him back to like where we can palette him as a character that maybe we can have sympathy for. Do we have sympathy? Fuck no. But that's their attempt, I think. Anyways. So yeah, we see the Count turn into a demon. Soak? No, we don't. It's fucking Zondark. It's Demon Zondark is back for a 3rd time. This man cannot die. And we kind of want him to. It's kind of sad at this point. Just die already. At this point, let's move on. So we can see this really cool panel here. I don't know if you guys have seen the show Parasite. Very good show if you haven't seen it, or anime. But he looks exactly like something off of that. Maybe that's where Parasite came from. Maybe it was inspired by this. But, H Vegeta L, if I'm saying the name wrong, correct me, but you were commenting on Zondark on the last video when you mentioned that Zondark, like, obviously, like, it was comedic with him smashing his head against the wall, but him being spurred on by his emotions, and possibly this is something that we learn later, that the Behelit is a tool, it's a key, but again, it's a tool to bridge humans or figures, public figures that are weak emotionally in a vulnerable state, and they're being spurred on by anger or sadness or something of that nature, and then the God Hand are using these heavy emotions that these people are sitting with and turning them into demons to, I guess, like get footholds in the human world, or get like strategic chess pieces or figures that they can manipulate or use to either kill Guts or to control a human population. I guess I don't know if that makes sense, but maybe the Behelits are just they're keys, but they're tools for the God Hand to um, manipulate humans that are powerful in terms of status, but weak in terms of emotional capacity to meet their needs. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyways, Zondark Demon smashes the staircase above him and says, like Gandalf, "You shall not pass." But I mean, he's trapped Guts in with him, but Guts is 1-0 against Zondark. So Zondark is still kind of the underdog here. Let's be real. The next thing I want to bring up is like he fires arrows at Zondark in this battle, pins him against the wall. Can you see that? There we go. How fucking strong are these? How like powerful are these arrows if they're pinning Demon Zondark against the wall? Like that's kind of insane. And so they're going through combats, whatever. And then Zondark gives us his best Kool-Aid Man impression. He's like, "Oh yeah." Maybe that was a terrible impression, but whatever. And this is really cool, this part here. So I really like Guts' spatial awareness in combat. So right over here, we see that the Demon Zondark smashes the stairs here, and he sidles up against the wall, and he still fires arrows, while like back against the wall, his just combat awareness and positioning is like top notch, like next level. Blah blah blah. This is really cool. So these two panels here, where Guts follows up the arrows and sort of the stairs in front of him being smashed by slicing through Zondark again, and then we got this close up of his face with the blood on it. I don't know why, but when I read that, I like pictured the blood splatter and like the Zondark's tentacles like kind of flying past his head in slow motion. I got this like slow motion effect in my brain. It was really cool. Anyways, that's how I kind of pictured it. But blah blah blah. Zondark embarrasses himself once again and falls down the stairs. And Guts is like, "Bruh, whatever, whatever, bruh," and starts moving on. And then that's the end of the fight. Psych again, motherfucker. He's back. He flips up the staircase and slices him in the face. Busts his fucking head open. And this literally... And then Zondark, after getting cut up again... Really cool panel, but he looks like something that my sister's cat threw up this morning. Like, for real. It looks hideous. Big, disgusting blob, and he says... what does he say? "I'll keep regenerating myself unless you cut off my head." How dumb is that, by the way? Zondark's like, "Unless you cut my worm head, I will keep coming back." Stop monologuing. You just gave him the way to kill you, you dumbass. Anyways, which is exactly what Guts does. He literally just like, there we go, cuts the worm's head off. Any cool panel here where he like severs the head. Super dope. And then Guts follows that up with a really dope little double entendre. "Thanks for the tip." Kind of badass. I give that a 8 out of 10 because, I mean, double entendre is badass because, I wrote down why. He literally given the tip of the head being removed, as well as the fact that it was like a combat tip for how we could finish him off. I don't know why they keep monologuing, but anyways, after that happens, that's the end. Hi. That's the end of that combat sequence. And then once he's done killing Lord Zondark, he's able to move on then to go and fight the Count who's waiting for him in the castle up ahead. And then we get to move on from that. Psych again, for the third time in a row. Honestly, I don't know how many more psychs I have in me. Like, he literally, the head explodes open again, and it like latches onto him and the sword, and it starts crawling up the sword, saying like, "I'm gonna kill you now." And just like a goddamn... Sorry, beforehand I said hi to my mum who left the house. Before he literally, like, the head gets to him and like devours him, he picks up his sword, with the head attached to it, who's trying to kill him, like a goddamn spider on a, I don't even know, like a rolled up newspaper, right? And swings it. It's exactly how I would treat a spider. I mean, I'm in Australia, so that's how I would treat a spider. I got a goddamn newspaper. See this? Whoosh! Just splat the shit out of that head. He literally splats that thing, right? Kills it dead. And then it says, "I'll be waiting for you. Don't think this is over yet." Like upstairs or whatever. And that, I guess, feeds back into the fact that it's like a hive mind. Like it might not be directly the Count or the Potato Overlord, but it's like it's his a piece of his consciousness is attached to this demon that he's put into Zondark. So yeah, I'll show you guys here. It's like it's over here, this part up here. So he's exhausted from the combat, and there we go. And he's literally saying like, yeah, I'll be waiting for you. He just said, "I'll catch you around, big dog." That's all he said. And Guts lost a lot of blood from the fight, which we see on the next page over. But his resilience is top notch. He says, "I can't give up." I mean, he just, his resilience and willpower, which we identify again later in this chapter, but it is unparalleled for any character in any manga, show, anime I've ever seen. Like, I mean, this is the only manga I've ever read, but like, he is unparalleled in his willpower. Phenomenal. Anyways, the next part that I want to talk to is more of I wrote down notes on this after I'd read it because I kind of want to, it's more of a longer point that I want to make. So I'll read my point to you and then we'll go over the book itself. So let me read this to you. So, Puck the man, Puck the male character, and Teresa discuss her dad's story, which led him to become a monster. So Teresa is a prisoner to her father, who lost his wife 7 years ago. The context is the father was against heretics who were practicing paganism, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really understand what paganism was in full, so I did a little bit of research into what paganism was, and it seemed to be like a peaceful, divinist and nature-centric religion, from like my little bit of research. It also seemed like they were pro-sacrifice, so I mean, it's contradicting that I said peaceful, but like all of the articles that I read on paganism said it was peaceful, but then suddenly there was like some religious sacrifices. Anyways, it can't be that peaceful, but regardless of that, Teresa's mother was kidnapped by the paganists who wanted to practice their religion freely. And then as a result, they were like, "If you don't let us practice freely, we'll sacrifice your wife." And he's like, "Fuck you. You're not going to practice your bullshit paganism around here." And they literally sacrificed Teresa's mum, which is really horribly sad because she didn't have a part in any of this. Like, she wasn't involved in the religion. She was probably a really loyal partner to him. Maybe that does make her religious by proxy if she was following his religious rule. But yeah, I mean, she was not to blame for her husband's deliberations and decisions on the religious war, I guess, that was going on, right? So I feel empathy for her as a character, but excuse me. Anyways, Teresa also confirms that he was a loved ruler and father, which is really interesting. Again, they're trying to humanize him before he became a demon, which shows to me, actually, we'll get to that. So as a result of that, right, as a result of him being a loved father, a loved ruler, he then presents as a tool. So he's no longer a human once he suddenly loses his compassionate element as a husband and a father. He still loves his daughter, but he suddenly is overwhelmed by this driving urge to get revenge on the heretics. And so, based on my understanding, to the greater powers that be, possibly the God Hand, they saw a broken man who needed power to fulfill his purpose. Like, he was already a powerful man as the Lord of the land, that he was so driven by this hatred and this anger that he used the Behelit to seek out the God Hand to get demonic powers to become a demon. And we saw the exact same thing, a similar drive in the late Lord Zondark, right? So both the Count and Lord Zondark were driven by a deep and violent emotional grudge, which was manipulated by like the greater demons, be it all the God Hand, however you want to phrase it. And it was a coincidence that it was a coincidence at first, but now it's a trend. Like now it's happened a few times where the God Hand or the powers that stem from the God Hand are manipulating emotionally weak humans to become demons and do their do their bidding, or to I don't know the purpose of the God Hand yet, so it's hard to say. But anyways, it's a trend now. And something that we may continue to see used by the God Hand as a strategy to either kill Guts in the future or to control people for their purposes. So we'll keep a watch on that. But I wanted to say all that because it was a lot that I kind of a lot of reflections that I had to get down, and I knew I'd forget it. So anyways, all of what I said we can see as follows. Sorry, the sun's behind a cloud, so it's getting a bit dark. Oh, there we go. Anyways, so we can see Teresia talking with Puck about father becoming a different person after mother died, which we've already explained. The Paganists, excuse me, well, I'll show you the panels here. The Paganists sacrificed Teresia's mum. Obviously, he was harsh, but he was harsh so he could defend his kingdom. And he was loved and trusted by all, even as a father. So even Teresia, who resents him to an extent, even she respected him as a father figure at some point. And then we can see Puck looking up at like a picture portrait here, at a picture portrait there of him as a loving father. And anyway, so she then goes on to refer that he's changed, and that it doesn't really matter anymore whether he's hunting down heretics or innocent people at this point. She feels that he's not even human anymore. And that's kind of out of context without her knowing that he's no longer a human. But it's ironic. It's very ironic. Anyways, cut scene back to Guts. So he looks totally badass. I'll zoom in so you guys can see it there. He looks totally badass with his bandaged eye. And then he uses throwing knives, which we see here, to kill the guards. Ninja Guts mode activated. That's kind of fucking badass. And Guts makes his way up the stairs and is, like always, immediately confronted by a million guards. And he's like, where's the picture? There it is. He's like startled. He's startled that the guards are there. It's like, bro, you weren't quiet on your entry into the castle at all. Like, Guts ninja mode did not last long at all. So that little pussy priest was like, give up. 50 guards, we have you surrounded. And then Guts is like, shut the hell up. Get out of my way. I would not stand in his way at all. And he's literally not backing down from 50 soldiers, where we actually get to see his power tested, because it's like, can Guts kill 50 soldiers? Like heavily armed guards after fighting Demon Zondark and killing it? Does he have the capacity? They all fire arrows at him and he blocks them with his sword, which is super G'd up. He's cool as for that. And all we see in these next few panels is him carving them up. He literally, like, Guts is treating these guards like I treat my spring onions when I'm cooking. Cutting the heads off all of them. Like, he's, like, cutting everyone up. And I'll show you some of the panels because they're really cool. Like, look at this. Look at that up there. I don't know if you got a good view of it. Hang on, let me move over here. Look at the eyeball going everywhere. Dude's missing off his head there. He's missing his whole head. They're all getting Zondarked. R.I.P. Zondarked. Vargas, sorry. R.I.P. Vargas. Not R.I.P. Zondark. Fuck you, Zondark, if you're watching this. Anyways, oh my days. This pissed me off. Bruh. Another Zondark. Can they stop with this? They literally bring out, like, for Christ's sake, another Zondark. Where do they freaking find these guys? And the priest says, you always bragged about being stronger than Zondark. Get him. Show us your strength. Bruh. And we learn very quickly he is not on Zondark's level, or Guts' for that matter, because he swings and absolutely smashes him in the stomach. And you can see the panic in this faker Zondark as he's like getting beat up. But this next panel is probably one of my favorites in this chapter. Look at this. Cleaved through the pillar. Like literally cut straight through this fake Zondark in through the pillar. Hang on, let me hold it there. That's badass. That could be like That could be the thumbnail. That's pretty cool. Anyways, and so everyone freaks out, and we move on then to Guts kind of just casually moving past because the priest is like, "What are you doing? Like, get in his way!" And he's only saying that because he's at the top of this. So Guts is down here, walking up the stairs. Bitch ass priest is here. Guts is on his way there. Like, you're in trouble. And let me tell you, where is it? Oh man, I was so happy at this panel. Look at this. Finally, the dweeb priest is getting what's coming to him. The greatest sense of satisfaction that he is next on the chopping block. Can I just say? So that being said, Guts may not even respect him enough to chop him up. Like, that's how much of an insignificant character he really is. Anyways, we go back to, I mean, not this is like insignificant, but we go back to Teresia and Puck talking here. They remain talking, and I mean, honestly, she goes on to basically outline that Father doesn't let her leave this room because there's heretics out there. He's kind of lost the plot, really, or he's human hungry and he just uses that as an excuse to eat people, which is probably more likely what it is, given the imagery that we saw of the potato overlord previously, where he was cutting up people and eating them and just enjoying it. So I think it's more of a passion project than a real religious witch hunt, if you will. Anyways, it's like, oh my god, this Teresia says, "This is my world in this room," and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not surprised. Like, who is surprised? Put your hand up. No one put their hand up, okay? Because no one's surprised. Because at the end of the day, like, the Count is delusionally hell-bent on eliminating the heretics. Teresia doesn't even know he's a monster, even though she kind of ironically insinuated it earlier. Blah, blah, blah. The guards are looking for Guts, and Puck's like, "I have to go and help him. He's not really my friend, but I go and help him." Teresia flips out because she's been alone this whole time. And understandably that she flipped out, though, because it's like, imagine being trapped in there for 7 years, and this is like your only friend that understands you, or like is there to talk with you. Like, I wouldn't want to lose them either, so I can sympathize with her, but she lets Puck go because she's not a bad person. She's a lonely person, right? She wants to be free and explore. And Puck, really sweetly, she lets Puck go, and Puck says, "I'll be back for you," and she's like glowing, which is really cute. I'm really happy that happened. So, Puck leaves to go find Guts. Where are we? Yeah, Puck leaves to go find Guts, and she's really excited to finally. Oops, sorry. There we go. Finally excited to go and explore outside for the first time, which is really sweet. But all of this context makes me feel like she's on the chopping block in the future, which I really hope she's not, because I hope that she can experience the freedom that she has yet to experience as a 7-year-old child. Like, she should be allowed to go and see the world. So I hope that she doesn't die. I'll be really sad if she dies. So she better not. Where are we? Anyways, Guts front punts this fucking dude. Sparta kicks his ass through the doorway. Sadly didn't kill him. And moves on to confront the Potato Overlord finally. Which is really cool. With the Count declaring war on Guts here, and declaring war on humanity, really. And he's willing to test how far humanity can, like, carry Guts in combat, effectively. And then Guts gets, like, surprise attacked by the Count initially, which is so cool. Like, through the concrete. Like, how strong is this guy to be attacking him through the concrete? Anyways, massive attack, which clearly the power level difference between Zondark and the Count is obviously going to be, like, tremendous, right? And the Count says, "Nicely counted." He's very, like, blasé and casual, which scares me because it's like he's not taking it seriously. He's not taking it as seriously as Zondark was, which makes me think he's strong, which we foreshadowing. Weird ass panel, by the way. What the fuck is this? Demonic pubic hair? What is that? Like, why does it look like that? Anyways, I don't even know what that is. I'll show you guys again, because that is just bizarre. I don't know who drew that, but that is just what's going on there. Anyways, oh my god, brain fade. The Count says, "It seems that I must take this fight a little more seriously as well, because of how well Guts had countered that surprise attack," right? So Puck's looking for Guts. Flying around, like, where could he be? and we literally Puck finds Guts and does so by finding. You ready for this? I don't even want to. I'll just show you guys. I got nothing to say. I'll just show you if I can get to it. How cool is this double page spread? Puck finds Guts by encountering the biggest demon we have seen yet. Holy shit, this thing is huge. Look how big it is compared to Guts down here. Phenomenally massive and way scarier. And it kind of reminds me a little bit, now that I look at it, a little bit of No Face from Spirited Away. If you know, you know. But anyways, that was just a side thought. But what a cool 2-page spread. That could also be the thumbnail because that was dope. Blah, blah, blah. They're just fighting. There's nothing really crazy about it. It's just some cool action sequences here. Hang on, let me scroll on my notes just so I don't have to get lost. There we go. So there we go. And as the combat kind of progresses, what we find when Guts hacks up this demon, he says, each time you cut off my body parts, my body becomes stronger. It grows bigger and bigger. You cannot possibly beat me by cutting me up effectively. So you'll see that up here. Dope picture there, or dope panel, sorry. And then through all this combat of this giant demon, we see the ceiling collapsing in on the Count's daughter, which is also interesting because we've called into question the Count's humanity and how far he would go for his daughter. Because when he's in his human form, he shows a lot of compassion and care for his daughter by buying or bringing presents in the form of Puck, as we pictured earlier in the chapter. But in this form that we see him in now, in this demon form, does he share the same compassion? Does he share the same compassion for his... Sorry, mosquitoes, go away. Does he share the same compassion for his daughter as he does in his human form? Does this bloodlust that he has, does the bloodlust that he has override his affection and love for his daughter? Does the demon form consume the humanity that he has? I'd be really interested to know that. And my predictions for what happens in the following chapter will be at the end, but we'll work our way to that. So the ceiling's collapsing in on Teresia here, and luckily she survives. Thank God. And then the door gets busted open in the midst of the rubble and the destruction of the castle. And she's terrified to leave because all she knows is the room. Like there's unknown and there's fear in leaving and exiting that environment because what's out there. It's not safe to her. Hi, Obi. It's the dog again. I can't not show you guys. Ugh, hang on. Ooh, there we go. Obi. He's just chilling out. Alright, let's put you back down. There we go. Alright, so, and there's fear and unknown in that, right? Like there's fear and unknown in leaving an environment where you felt safe all this time. Of course, you've never felt happy. The happiness of losing your mum, your father, like no longer being human, not that you are fully aware of that, right? The context of what that means, but she still perceives he's not a great person. And then you're also trapped in this room for your whole life, basically. Like, what else do you know? So the fear of leaving the known is terrifying. So she kind of freaks out a bit. And then she builds up the courage based on her conversation with Puck to leave her room, which is amazing. Puck really is just the most amazing character. He is so, whether he wills it or not, I don't think he even fully understands how much his empathy heals people, or not necessarily heals them in full, but brings them to a point of being able to heal. Because what was Guts thinking before Guts forced empathy onto him? What was Teresia feeling? Helplessness, really, before Puck came and was empathetic while being a prisoner, was empathetic to Teresia in that setting as well. So I think Puck's empathy is one of the most powerful things that we've seen so far in the context of healing characters and bringing them to a point of being able to move past traumas or move past obstacles that are in their lives or in their way. Anywho, moving on from that, back to the combat. So we see Guts getting jumped again by the demon Count. The demon, we can't even call him a potato anymore. He's like worse than that. And he's kind of been all elusive Ninja Guts reactivated once again. And where was I? So blah blah blah. I really hope nothing bad. Sorry, just to touch back on. I really hope nothing bad happens to Teresia. Like, I hope she can experience an awesome life outside of the confines of that room. Something that I really wanted to point out. But blah blah blah. The bitch ass priest is like, "What's going on, bro? You knew what was going on. You knew this was all bad to begin with." Anyways, the big monster's looking for him. And Guts sets up a really cool diversion here where he bumps into the priest up here, up the top panel here. And then the demon, where am I? Down here. The demon thinks he spots Guts and lunges to kill him, but it's actually the priest who Guts forced into the cloak. And we can see he gets absolutely annihilated. Yeah! Like, finally he's gone. I'm not anti-religion, by the way. I'm just anti-asshole. So, and that gives Guts an opportunity to counterattack. And he lunges and attacks the demon count and only inflicts a surface level wound, which this, by the way, these panels are so cool. Let me zoom in for you. This dope ass panel where he cuts the demon's head open and it's like, he's like, shit, it was only a surface level cut. The demon's like, my turn, motherfricker, and just slams him, absolutely annihilates him. And Guts from this point, honestly, he gets absolutely walloped. But I think the most important thing, and I'll show you, you can kind of see the worthlessness that Guts is facing here. Let me just double check. That's right, this part. So Guts is getting, like, he's on the ground, kind of very beaten up, but we can see that the Count Overlord, oh, sorry, I lost my notes. There we go. And I'll slide that across. There we go. Let me zoom in. There we go. So the demon count mentions here that for someone with the brain on their neck, it's hard to believe, that Guts can survive, insinuating, obviously, that it's a horrible curse to have inflicted upon you, but also the demon count mentions that Guts must be on a revenge mission against whoever inflicted the curse upon him, right? And he says, right here, where is it? Yeah. Right here, because he's just monologuing again. They need to stop monologuing. It's going to get all the demons killed. Seriously, have they not learned? But we can see here that he's the demon says, divine providence cannot be thwarted by man's efforts. While Guts he's presenting here as being terrified by the truth. Because this is actually what Guts thinks. Like, look how terrified he is at this situation, right? Like, Guts is scared of the truth. And he's fighting a hopeless battle with no revenge in his own eyes. But Guts is like, well, why let hopelessness get in the way of at least trying? Like, why just give up for no reason? Like, it's hopeless, but why give up? Why not fight? Anyway, so that's that message there. That's right. And so my point being, from all of this, I mean, he looks hopeless, but he has the strongest willpower, as I mentioned previously, of any character I've ever seen in any show, right? I mean, he looks terrified. I'll zoom in so you guys can actually see it. But we don't even understand the full context of Guts as a character and his experiences yet. So we already think that he's a badass who has an incredible sense of self-determination and willpower, but we don't even understand to what extent yet, right? Because we don't know his full experiences to this point. You guys watching probably know, or girls, but we don't understand the full context yet. So anyways, from there, sadly, Guts gets the shit kicked out of him. He gets absolutely beaten. I'll kind of hold it here for a second so you guys can see. But he gets beaten from, no pun intended, because he gets literally bashed into pillars. He's getting beaten from pillar to post here. Again, no pun intended. But Guts is getting walloped, and we kind of see him in this final state. Really cool panel once again here. Just absolutely, like, folded. And I hate to say it, but he's splayed out on the rubble looking hopeless. But we know that's not who Guts is. He's not hopeless. Like, he can be selfish, and he can be closed off from his emotions and distant and cold, but he's not hopeless. So despite this being the strongest enemy that Guts has faced, we know that this is not the end of him. So, and then that's the end of volume 2. And I don't know who this Batman wannabe is here, but He looks pretty cool. Or she. I'm gonna stop misgendering people, but there we go. So that is the end of chapter. The end of that chapter and volume 2. So my prediction for the next chapter, given we've kind of left off on that point, my prediction for the next chapter is Teresia will walk in. She'll walk in to see her dad as a demon, and then that's where we get to see how much humanity remains when they do go into that demon form. Will he emotionally let his guard down and be like, "Oh my god, I love you," like I've lost my way, and then let his guard down, and then guts will strike when he lets his guard down. That is my prediction. I think Teresia comes in, she might die, or won't. I hope she doesn't, but she might die, and then guts will strike when the Count lets his guard down. That's my prediction. Is that all my notes? Yeah, that's it, man. I can't wait to see. I'm sorry that these videos have gotten so long, but I think that it is necessary for us to unpack how rich in content these chapters are. Look, feel free to skip. Obviously, you can do whatever you want, but feel free to skip through them if they're too long for you to sit through 40 minutes of, really. Just skip through it and just like take in all the points you want to take in. I would love for you guys who watch to engage. Let me know what you guys thought of that chapter. I thought it was incredible. I'm loving this plot line so far. This is by far the best plot line. Again, the first few chapters were to introduce the characters and start to develop the plot, really start to develop the plot of the show and put us on the course to enjoy Berserk. And I'm so much enjoying this right now. This is actually incredible. And as I said, if you guys have any, if you guys feel like I missed anything in this chapter review, if you feel like there's something that I didn't hit on, any points that you felt were necessary to address, or even just engage about what you thought about the chapter itself or Berserk to this point, leave a comment. Again, thank you to H Vegeta L, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I hope so. Thank you again for leaving a comment. I really appreciate your input and your insights. It's really interesting, again, to get different perspectives. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.